My assignment is to give the early history, which is so incredible the way that God moves and things. We had one young man named Jim Jimenez or Jimenez that had gotten out of prison and come to Open Door. This was in the early 90s, but we were already in our second building at 18th and Dutton. But he came and he had a desire, though he had been released from prison and been out a while, he had a desire to do some type of ministry back in. He brought a simple brochure to me from Mike Barber Ministries.
I remember probably around the same year, 1992, going in 1993, quite a few of the guys at the church, we were beginning to start growing a little men's group, and Jim Jimenez came to us one day and said, you know, he had done prison time and that we should go into the prisons. And so we researched and found Mike Barber Prison Ministry.
And we just helped support him with a few dollars to get him on that one trip. When he came back from the visitation, the outreach within the prisons, I let him share a testimony on a Sunday morning. He was so excited and so enthused, and that enthusiasm built. And then we would take maybe 5, 10, 15 guys to do prison ministry under Mike Barber Ministries, and then women would go to the women's units. And one of the things, though, that happened over a period of maybe the next year or 2 years, as we saw the effectiveness of the gospel on men's lives in prison, one of the things that we saw, observed, were men that were living for God in prison. It wasn't just jailhouse religion, but they really had a transforming experience in the Lord. But when they got out of prison, they'd go back to the same neighborhood or family or situation that caused them to fall, maybe initially, and they would wind up being back in prison for the third or fourth, maybe fifth time down.
After about 6 months of going in, Ed Irwin, Pokey, came around and said, you know what, we should have a place for these guys when they get out, because the recidivism rate was so high. These guys need something to get out. They're all complaining about when they get out, they go right back to where they were from. And if there was a place, a Christian place, it might make it easier. And so Pokey had a vision for a house, a place where the guys could get out and transition back into society from a Christian perspective. And so it birthed this idea, and it caught on. Steve Oates and Ronnie Holmes all jumped on board. And
probably around 1996 at that time, 95-ish, just prior to that, I guess. And when we began to, this concept, you had to have a place to house men, because if we don't have a safe, protected environment for a man to transition back into society and get his feet on the ground, and again the cycle just keeps repeating itself, which is what we wanted to avoid.
So all of us began to pray and seek and look for property and to figure out how it could be done. And
funding for the home, how did that start? How did that come about?
Well, we didn't have funding. We didn't do any fundraisers. We were just going to start finding it and then just allow the Lord to lead us, whether from Open Doors offerings or what we were going to do. I'm not sure. I don't exactly remember the details of how we funded it.
So there was no capital at all. It was just
nothing. It was nothing. It was just a vision and a dream, and but it was God's vision and God's dream.
When Pokey or Ed Irwin saw this recurring cycle, God just began to deal with him so intently. He felt like we've got to do something, and so we wanted to do that. We actually then looking at locating a building. We were on with the concept, and at that point we still were co-pastoring, Steve Oates and myself, the church, and Steve and Pokey began looking for a building in the area, and heard about this old P&L casino out here on the Golson Road, which was a dilapidated old beer joint club. It's from the, I guess, the 50s probably when it was built, and a lady owned it still, her family did, although it had been closed down as far as that function. It had actually more recently at that point been used as a paintball place. It was just a again, a rundown facility, weeds probably almost as tall as the building, but it was a place to begin.
And so we found this building, and we had a vision for this building, and it was most of the work was going to be done volunteer, and so that's why it was so rough in the beginning, trying to find some people to just come and be a part.
So the initial construction in the startup was all volunteer.
It was all volunteer, and Open Door, anything that needed to be funded, Open Door would fund the material.
It's exciting to pull up the bar stools, to cut up the dance floor, and for it to be a place rather than a place of destruction where a lot of people furthered their addiction and their lifestyle contrary to God. It became a place of hope. It became a place of healing. Early years were certainly difficult, and then getting to the place where Fred was willing to invest himself here just under such horrendous conditions, but it might be 2 or 3 men and just trying to work with those. And
What was your role at the church then?
I was on the board. I was on the board of Open Door, and one of the deacon elders of Open Door. And man, we just all jumped on board, continued to go to the prisons with Mike Barber, and next thing you know, we found Nilsa and Fred.
How long from the conception, from the time the thought came into someone's mind to the first resident, how much time do you think passed there?
It had to be at least over a year and a half.
A year in the making.
Yeah,
before.
It was at least a year in the making or more before we actually started getting residents. So,
Wow.
yeah, it took a while, but
What do you hope to see for the next 20 years?
man, I guys that come through here raised up like yourself, Jason, and run this place, and maybe get some other ones in other cities to do this, because it's a great ministry, and
Unlike any other, huh?
not like any other ministry, man. When you got parolees coming to your church, that can either scare people off or make people go, huh, what's going on over there?
but because some people cared enough, and then ultimately when Nilsa felt the call of God and knew the call of God to come out here, it stepped up to another level, because God had then connected the things that needed to be connected, and it's been still a building process. But for every man, when I look at this picture and I see a Steve Allen who had robbed 2 banks, was mentally unstable at one point, but found a relationship with Jesus, and over the years that passed, I believe he had developed cancer and passed, but just lives that have been impacted. And the thing is, it's not about buildings. It's not about having a title of ministry for Nilsa. It's a heart for the people that are involved here volunteering. It's the heart for the staff that's here now. It's the heart to make a difference in men's lives for now and for all of eternity. And what a joy to celebrate this 20th anniversary for the house where Jesus shines. I commend everybody involved.
What do you hope to see for the next 20 years?
To see a consistency to help men for the next window of what the foreseeable vision would be, is for men's lives to be more secure, more mentoring take place that would actually man to man cause those dads and those husbands and those single men to just rise up vocationally and spiritually. So the holistic approach of spirit, soul, and body, to see men transformed by the power of God and then walk this thing out. That's what I envision.
Oh, it's hot. Yeah. This is beautiful. Oh, wow. That's a hazard there. How would you best describe the program helping you?
Well, I benefited a lot from this program. Well, what I mean by that, it got me closer to God. I've had a lot of bumps in my life. I started drinking at the age of 15, and I winded up in prison twice. And it benefited me a lot. I got closer to God. My faith grew stronger, than what it was before I came into this program. Yes, sir.
We love you.
Well, I love y'all too. I mean, the staff is awesome. Jason, you've done a lot.
We're done, man. We're done.
Thanks.
In your words, what would you say the program did for you?
Well, it taught me how to conduct myself in a better form and manner. Taught me how to respect others. Taught me and showed me how to open my heart to Jesus and to accept and follow Jesus. It showed me how to manage money.
So beyond the spiritual, it also offered some financial assistance in helping you.
It helped me with everything. A complete 100% re-entry.
What are some of the most recent accomplishments that you've achieved that you're proud of?
Well, one is moving out on my own, keeping my head straight, still keeping my job. Presently am purchasing a nice truck, a nice vehicle. I've gotten a raise again at work, and it's all because of God, and being true to God. Following God works, and this program works. If you want, you can't use the excuse, I'm a felon, I'm a 3-time felon. And
all the ingredients for success are right here.
They all, every time.
We love you, David.
We love you. I love y'all. I do. And without you, Miss Nielsen, and Bubba, Pastor Ronnie, Pastor Kim, Harold, Sammy, I wouldn't be here. I just, God bless y'all for opening y'all's heart and y'all's home to me. This hope is ours forever. Your work of art and mystery, beyond all earthly measure. Your love for us a masterpiece. Jesus, I hope always.
Alright guys, shoot video right now guys, alright? Everybody try to get in a little bit closer. Tallest in the back.
Tell us a little bit about what the house did for you.
The house was a great atmosphere for me to come and get my life back on track, and spiritually, mentally, physically.
Anybody that is a resident or comes to the house where Jesus shine looking for a program, a chance to better themselves, a chance to learn how to save money, that this would be the place to do so. But you've got to apply yourself.